Hamstrong has lost his mind, and King Charles is at an impasse in his battle against the royal crooks. Harry and Meghan. Charles is almost 12 months into his tenure, and it's clear he's off to a very dangerous start. Hello and welcome to our Princess Diana YouTube channel. Well, almost a full year has passed, almost 365 days, and $421 million has been spent. Government officials, Piper made the nation cry. How can we begin to measure seismic changes in rainfall just received, nearly 12 months after the death of the late Her Majesty the Queen? It's been a year since the late Queen's death, which means her son Charles becomes King Charles III, the 40th ruler appointed by IMPASSE. But now that the oatmeal is long gone and the memorial shortbread jar is empty, the big question is, what kind of work did the king actually do? Well, according to many, it's a bit disappointing. 59% of British citizens think he has done a good job of sitting on the throne and not losing it. Another thing is that he and his wife, Queen Camilla, have received a warmer and more welcoming reception than expected from suburban children and small business owners. They are indeed the bread and butter of royal seclusion, but they can still draw happy crowds with the kind of benevolence we see in kings. Maybe it's an attempt to cover up his failure to try and hide at home? Where can we start in this situation? Should we start with the fact that Buckingham Palace is still bogged down in more family drama than a Coronation Street wedding? Should we talk about the civil sexual abuse case that is still looming? Should we talk about AB corruption inquiry into cash for honors? Or maybe we should talk about some impatient Commonwealth countries who are being even louder about considering republicanism? Or what about that aging royal workforce that is not getting any younger, or the fact that reportedly Charles has realized that he is only going to be a throne warmer for his son and heir, Prince William? Well, I think we need to start with the most obvious: a couple of spears who can't seem to keep their names out of the news to men who have caused more than their fair share of headaches for the House of Windsor and who have probably caused Charles to reach for a bottle on more than one occasion. And as far as who is the biggest problem, while I think Harry and Meghan do take the cake, I mean, all indications may be that they have given up on their campaign to hold the palace's feet to the fire, that they've reportedly given up their hobby of the royal dirty laundry show for cash, but like Harry and Meghan's uncle, they're not done yet. It seems that the king's strategy is to do almost anything to distance the royal family from the Montecito agitators. This year she kicked him out of Frogmore. He forced Harry to sit in the third row at his coronation, and the Reverend H.R.H. was later removed from the company's official website. But at the moment, it seems that Charles doesn't really know what to do to keep Meghan and Harry under control for once and for all. There have been claims that Harry is considering writing a whole new memoir, and that Meghan is going to write one too, and there remains a big question mark over whether or not they can support themselves, considering that their only successful commercial endeavors so far have been those which attack the crown. And next up, the king's brother, Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, also known as Randy, and now 4 years after the death of his good friend, the sex trafficker, Jeffrey Epstein. Well, he's enjoying a really nice vacation at the royal family's private Scottish estate. Never before has a son of a monarch and now sexually abusing a teenagers. An allegation, of course, that he has vehemently denied, and never before has a senior member of the monarchy paid out what some reports have suggested was up to $23 million to settle the claim. To be clear, Andrew was never charged with a crime and there was never any sign of it, but still the fact that he refuses to talk to the FBI. And what about the terrible interview he did on TV? The countless women who were abused by his best friend, but he feels sorry for himself. And let's not forget that he came to New York to see Epstein after finding himself on the sex offender registry. Yes, things aren't looking good for him, but at this point we can't take everything with Andrew as a done deal like they want. That I don't think it's time for Buckingham Palace to breathe a sigh of relief. This unhappy chapter is far from over. In fact, a royal source said this week that it appeared to Her Majesty that there would be more information about Epstein and that there were still unexploded bombs. At the same time, Andrew still lives in this huge royal villa estate, doing nothing but watching all day long. I don't know if there's a rerun on TV, and I wonder what the weather is like in those sunny places he likes to go on vacation. Interestingly, Epstein still hasn't left the UK since his death. Andrew appears to have successfully thwarted Charles's attempt to kick him out of the royal villa. That means a man accused of sexual assault lives at one of the royal family's top estates. The king is said to have given up trying to persuade Andrew to move into the now empty Frogmore cottage. According to the Express, Andrew became the first family member to join Charles this week, which is why many people are asking, what is a king? I mean, Andrew, let someone who is hated by everyone in Britain be back in the family again. The king seems to be running out of ideas on how to fix this mess and how to deal with any subsequent corruption. So on the 21st the Times published a series of truly awful stories about the good deeds of the Prince of Wales at that time. They alleged that his longtime advisor, Michael, had asked a Saudi businessman for money to support royal charities in exchange for tributes. And this week, the Met Police quietly dropped the case, prompting outrage from critics. Former Cabinet Secretary Norman Baker told the Daily Beast that it's a message you can get away with if you're important and have friends in the right places. To be honest, the king has never been accused of anything wrong, but God, this is not good. I can only imagine right now. We didn't even talk about the big existential questions that Carlos didn't want to deal with at all. For example, what about the fact that they don't have royals? There are 11 members of the family left working on behalf of the crown and only 4 under the age of 70, and there are no new people who were said to officially join the ranks for about 15 years, and that 15-year figure is just assuming that Prince George is going to want to become a working royal at the same age that his father did. William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, actually only became full-time working members of the firm in 2017, with the loss in less than 4 years of 5 working members of the royal family. The late Queen, Prince Philip, Harry and Meghan and Andrew Charles has been loved with a very elderly workforce of HRHS, so maybe then it wasn't surprising to anybody when late last year it was revealed that the remaining number were now taking on about 30% fewer off-ic pandemic. If the king has even a clue about what to do on this front, it's a closely guarded secret that I'm going to mention the fact that the king and queen along with the Prince and Princess of Wales still haven't visited a single Commonwealth countries since they were all elevated. And really, that's a problem because that is going to encourage republicanism. It's not really an example of top-notch palace work. And last on the list is something that must be a big disappointment for a prince who spent such a long time dreaming up his ideal vision of Britain, a country where cars run on yoga and yoga is free for everybody and the modern is somehow relocated to the Isle of Wight recently. The Sunday Times quoted a source who knows Charles and the palace machinery well. And this source said that Charles realizes that the main changemaker will be William, who will have more license to do it as monarch. According to this source, Charles has decided to be the steady-as-we-go monarch. Providing an annuity the country needs now. That it's still a little sad to think about it, isn't it? I mean, you wait your whole life for a job, and then your job becomes a side hustle. He will keep the crown in place until it is William's turn. Many expected what Charles's reign would bring. So for all those people, it's a bit of a disappointment. The great historian Tom Holland praised her reign and said she had done nothing but a very good job in reflecting the late Queen. Unfortunately for those who had high hopes from this age, Carlos is doing everything, albeit not impressively, but for now let's give him some credit. I mean, one becomes a master of one's craft in the first year. I know I certainly don't. Maybe we will say something completely different this time next year. Perhaps the king will show confidence, or maybe Andrew will become the new Governor-General of Australia. Destroy the mind and you. What do you think about this? Please share your opinion in the comments below. Please feel free to share my videos on Princess Diana's channel for more updates in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and good night. We'll see you tomorrow.